friends, and welcome to another episode for Standard 8. And in today's class we'll be dealing with the exercises and activities of the poem Taj Mahal. I know that all of you have studied the poem Taj Mahal, which is a fantastic poem written by Rabindranath Tagore, who was a Nobel laureate. He is the first non-European to win the Nobel Prize for Literature for his marvelous work Gitanjali. I know you have got a fairly good idea about the poem Taj Mahal. What does the poem mean? The poem is about Taj Mahal, a monument built by the Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan in memory of his beloved wife Mumtaz. His favorite wife died while giving birth to their child. This incident really pained his heart, and in order to remember the incident always, he made the Taj Mahal. It's actually the tears of Shah Jahan made with marbles. Whenever people go to this place, they also remember Shah Jahan and his favorite wife Mumtaz. The poem begins with addressing the reader, asking that you know the Emperor of India, Shah Jahan. And then he goes on saying that life, youth, wealth, which are the three things you have to remember. Life, youth and wealth. These three things are transient, that will not last forever. We know that the Mughal emperor was very rich, he was very handsome, and he was very famous as well. But all these things are lost with the passage of time. As the time passes, he lost all these things. He becomes old, he lost all his wealth, and there was a decline of the Mughal Empire. And slowly the royal power changed into democracy. Then he talks about your only dream of Shah Jahan. What was the only dream of Shah Jahan? He wants to preserve the sadness in his mind in the form of a monument. So he made Taj Mahal as a symbol of his love for his late wife Mumtaz. We have a wonderful expression of simile used in the poem. It goes like this. The harsh thunder of imperial power would fade into sleep, like a sunset's crimson splendor. It's a wonderful example of simile. As you can see, there is a comparison between imperial power and sunset. We know that sunset is one of the beautiful things that you can see in the nature, and people go and watch these beautiful scenes. But it's only for a short time. You can't watch it for a long time. It's that special color, that crimson color is so attractive to watch and enjoy. Many people go to the beachside and sit there and watch. It's a very beautiful sight. But it is not permanent. It will last only for a few minutes. After that it will be dark. Just like this, the imperial power would fade into democracy, and the age of the kings are over. Just like the sunset lasts only for a few minutes. He wants to make something last forever. What is that? His love for his wife. In order to remember the king and his love for his wife, he made this Taj Mahal. Then the poet talks about different types of precious stones like rubies, emeralds, and pearls. These are all very valuable stones, but its value is not permanent. Here is the second simile where the poet is talking about the different types of precious stones like emeralds and rubies and how they are compared to the beauty of a rainbow. The rainbow trickling out in the empty air, very attractive to see. But this sight is not an everlasting sight. It will last only for some time. So is the case of the precious stones. They may not be usable. It concludes by saying that, so even though the king, his wife, and the person, the engineer who built this Taj Mahal, they all died and are no more. But still, we can see this great monument made by Shah Jahan. If we go to Agra, we can see this Taj Mahal still there. What does the poet mean by this? He says that, see, he is talking about the permanence of art, how the king has created a great monument which will always stay there, and whenever people go and watch this, they will certainly remember about the king and his favorite wife Mumtaz. Looking at the gleaming or shining Taj Mahal, we remember Shah Jahan and his favorite wife, and about the sadness that the king had gone through. Now let's go to the question answers, shall we? The first question is, what in the poet's view are the things that would float away down the stream of time? Which are the things that the poet is saying are floating down the stream of time? There are 4 things that the poet mentions in the poem that are floating down, that will float down in the stream of time: life, youth, wealth, and renown. Second question, what do you think was Shah Jahan's heart's pain? And we know the answer. His heart's pain was the death of his favorite wife, Mumtaz. Question number 3, why is imperial power compared to the splendor of sunset? Because both are transient in nature. The imperial power is something that is not permanent. It is transient, only lasting for some time, and so is the splendor or the beauty of the sunset. It will last only for a short while. Question number 4, pick out the lines which mean emeralds, rubies, and pearls are transient. And we have this line in the poem: though emeralds, rubies, pearls are all but as the glitter of rainbow trickling out empty air and must pass away. Question number 5, all float away down the stream of time. What image do you get from this line? What image do we get from this line? About something floating down a river, floating down a stream. Next question is very important. Pick out 2 instances of simile from the poem. We have 2 examples of simile from this poem. The first one is, the harsh thunder of imperial power would fade into sleep like a sunset's crimson splendor. Second one, but as the glitter of rainbow trickling out empty air. So here we have 2 examples of simile from the poem, which are very important. The first one is this: harsh thunder of imperial power would fade into sleep like a sunset's crimson splendor. That is simile number 1. And then we have in the next stanza, though emeralds, rubies, pearls are all but as the glitter of the rainbow trickling out empty air. You have to remember this. For a simile is a comparison between 2 things. You are comparing 2 things, and in it, often by using words like as or like. So in the first example, here we have a comparison, and the comparison is between the imperial power and the beauty of sunset. Imperial power and the beauty of sunset. These 2 things are compared using the word like, L-I-K-E. And in the second example, the comparison is between the precious metals and the rainbow. And there the word as is used. So we can say that simile is a comparison between two things by using like or as. And we have two examples of simile from this poem. So you can write this as an answer to that question. Now we will move on to the activities. First activity, in the poem, the poet uses similes and metaphors. A simile is a figure of speech that draws comparison between two things using the words like or as. Pick out instances of similes from the poem. And we have already written the answer to this question. Two similes are used in the poem. The first one is comparing imperial power to the beauty of the sunset, and the second one is comparing the precious stones with rainbow. Now, activity 2, the poet uses various images to lead the readers to a sensory experience. Images often give us mental pictures that appeal to our senses of sight, sound, taste, touch, and smell. Pick out instances of visual and auditory images from the poem. One is done for you. So we know that there are different types of images, and there are visual images, auditory images, olfactory images, tactile images, etc. And what is a visual image? Visual image is an image that you understand by seeing, and auditory by its sound, tactile by its touch, olfactory by smell. We have two columns. The first one is for writing the visual image, and the second one is for writing the auditory image. In the visual image, you can write any image in the poem that you understand by seeing. Many examples are there. What all examples do you have for the visual images used in the poem? I told you that anything that you can understand by watching it or seeing it are visual images. So of course you can write the color crimson is an example of visual image, and also rainbow is an example of visual image used in the poem. And for auditory images, you can write the thunder. Remember the sound. Thunder, the sound. We understand this image by its sound. So that's an example for auditory image in the poem. Another example for auditory image is sigh, S-I-G-H, which also we understand by the sound. And now we'll move on to the next activity. Write down words from the poem related to transience and eternity. So remember these two words, transience and eternity. Eternity, eternal means something that is lasting forever, for all the time, for all the ages. And transient means that will last only for a short time. Now, for example, sunset, we say it's transient. And art, we can say, is permanent, whereas the beauty of a rainbow or a sunset are transient, that will last only for a short time. Now, what type of questions can you expect for the examination? And I know that many of you are feeling so happy because you have watched some Malayalam versions of the poem. You cannot write or you cannot use any of these things when you are writing the examination. If you have the habit of watching the Malayalam versions, which are available in plenty in the internet, you are really wasting your time. So stick to our channel and learn English in English. That will be useful for you for the examination. Choice to write the English examination in Malayalam. So what's the point of listening to such Malayalam classes of English? We call it Manglish. Now, what type of questions can you expect for the examination? And you'll be given few lines of the poem, and there will be some questions in English, of course, not in Malayalam. And the questions, here we have a model of one question from the poem, Read the lines from the poem Taj Mahal and answer the following questions. And the first few lines of the poem. You knew Emperor of India, Shah Jahan, that life, youth, wealth, renown all float away down the stream of time. Your only dream was to preserve forever your heart's pain. So these lines are given here, and based on these lines of the poem, there are some questions. Who does the poet address as you in the poem? Who is you here? The poet addresses Shah Jahan. Now pick out an instance of simile from the above lines. We have learned that there are two similes used in the poem, and here the simile is the harsh thunder of imperial power would fade into sleep like a sunset's crimson splendor. So if such a question is asked, you have to write these lines of the poem and underline the word like, and then you have to write, this is the example of simile used in the poem. What does the expression heart's pain refer to? Next question. The heart's pain here is the loss of his wife Mumtaz. Pick out a word from the stanza which is related to kingship. Which is the word used in this stanza which is connected to the king and his rule? Which is the word? The word is imperial. You can't write the English exam in Malayalam. So, learn the language. Listen to English classes. Don't waste your time watching Malayalam versions of English. If you're really interested in learning the language, and if you really want to watch such classes where we take English in English, come to our channel. And if anybody who is not subscribed is watching this video, please do subscribe. Just press the red button on the right side of the screen so that you will never miss our classes. And more classes are coming in the next video. So stay tuned. See you in the next class.